I run a AI consultancy called TechTorch.ai. I've been in the business for last 20 years, building highly complex and scalable technology solutions. Uh, and yeah, happy to be here. I think personally, or what we have seen, and after speaking to lots of C-suits and CEOs, I think AI definitely is a buzzword, but what underlying is what we try to explain is the business value or the addition of how some technology, whether it's AI, whether it's blockchain, or whether it's normal web, anything. The underlying thing which is more important is how will it impact the business? How will it impact the overall value of the business, and what can it do to improve the business? And that's where the value is. Whether that's achieved by using AI, whether it's achieved by using a set of rules, that's the secondary part. I think once we understand that, then it becomes much easier to explain. Okay, now you understand the value. Now we get into the nitty gritty and explain of, okay, now let's, as a layman, how can we showcase that how this value can be achieved by using a technology called artificial intelligence or machine learning. I think that's the biggest difference, or the step which we kind of go first is always how is it adding value to your business, and then the exact technology behind it. Once they get that, then it's much easier for them to understand, okay, okay, now let's explain and get into the building blocks of what is required, or what exactly does it mean by artificial intelligence or machine learning, for that sake. I think that's the approach which we have taken, and which has been pretty much uh, gets the person's attention and also understanding of the problem segment. Absolutely. I think that's a fundamental shift of how a normal for the last 30-40 years of how the web solutions have been working, where you request something and you get back exactly what you have asked for. But as soon as you bring in AI, which has a which is probabilistic in nature, is like you ask for something, you will get, you might get this or you might not get it. And a very typical example in real life is, we all see probabilistic, we live in a probabilistic world, but we don't realize it until someone explains it to you that way. When you go to a restaurant, and you walk into a restaurant and you say, can I have a table for two? It's possible that all the tables are booked, and the restaurant says, sorry, there's no table available. It's probabilistic, right? But you never expect that thing. And it's the same way with AI. You ask something, you will, and the model says that 80%, we have an 80% accuracy, and you might get this, but there's always a chance that it will be a false positive or a false negative. And so that's how you have to build the interface, or you have to build the dashboard or the UX, where you can include those kind of things. And as for example, in the restaurant case, your plan B is, okay, let's walk to the next restaurant and see if I have a seat available there. And the same thing needs to be transformed in the UX of the product as well. Okay, the machine guessed something, but the user knows that's not true. Okay, if it's not true, how do I make sure that I fix that and move to the next set of plan B? And that's the probabilistic model which we need to kind of integrate in the product, in the design, and not just by having a great model, but you need to incorporate itself in the design, the way that it works properly. And that's what is very amazing about how AI needs to AI cannot just live by itself. It needs to go through the whole process of design, UX, everything. Does that make sense? Definitely, humans have a tendency of keeping control, right? Humans are control freaks by some degree, whether it's in you know, and I think that's where when as soon as you mentioned the technology starts to evolve by themselves and do things, uh, there will be a conflict between how humans take that human as a race takes that from the technology. So I think, to be honest, in 10, 20 years, there will be technologies, and there is glimpses of those where things adapt themselves, personalizations, and recommendations, and the behavioral changes which the product do in multiple facets. There are you know glimpses of how your behavior is picked up by the machines, and the algorithms change basically based on that, and then present the data or present the solutions in a different manner. So in some sense that is already happening, but in the direction where you're heading, I think there's still time, probably a decade or two, but that time will come. Now, how humans accept, or how much they accept, and how and in what areas do they accept, we don't know that yet, because as you never know when you reach there how human race will react to those scenarios, but it's not far away, to be honest. Language, understanding of language, and how humans emotions and the context, understanding those things, the machines are pretty still quite behind. So I think it'll take few years for them to reach where humans are have reached already, and probably from then onwards it becomes much easier for that kind of state to reach. So I think that's why I said a decade or two.